Leah, the Violence Against Women Act has been in effect since 1994. The House authorized to renew the act yesterday. But the good news for victims of for domestic violence may be short-lived. The sequester is expected to cut $20 million in funding for victims nationwide. The effects will be felt throughout the state and right here in Rochester.
Her very worst fears are realized. For those who don't know how the story ends, her husband Vince shot Amy in the head at close range, killing her instantly.
It's stories like these that pushed Congress to renew the Violence Against Women Act. The decision was considered a success to many supporters at the 14th annual legislative breakfast on domestic violence. But still, they know very well the fight is not over.
Funding for non-residential services should not be taken out of the New York State budget. There are more of me out there with nowhere to turn and no answers.
On the heels of this event, news of sequester cuts threatens some of the most vulnerable people in our community. The state could lose more than $400,000 in funding that aid victims of domestic violence. That means 1,600 abuse victims won't receive much needed help. The numbers trouble those who see the effects of domestic violence every day.
It is across the board issue. It's a community health issue. And so not having all of these supports in place as a community, it puts everybody at risk.
Jamie Saunders is the CEO of Alternatives for Battered Women. She says the sequester cuts will hurt the support system created for victims of domestic violence.
It impacts the tools that the first responders have, that law enforcement and the legal community, and then directly at our agency, of course, our funding is tied and we would be impacted.
In the end, Saunders says domestic violence doesn't care about budgets. It's a real issue that won't go away.
We're talking about life and death issues. So without having the proper supports, without having agencies like ABW there to answer the call, without having the tools that the law enforcement and legal community need, we are putting lives at risk.
And Congresswoman Louise Slaughter was in town today for the legislative breakfast on domestic violence at the College of Rockport. She praised the House vote, and she was actually an original author of the legislation. It will now extend protection to all victims of domestic and dating violence, regardless of their sexual orientation or gender identity. That bill now waits for President Obama's signature.